Have you ever had one of those moments where you just, you knew something?
Hmm.
I'm not talking about like an educated guess. I mean that sudden, deep gut feeling,
Oh, yeah.
the one that tells you to take a different route home, or that flash of clarity you get about a problem when you're just, I don't know, washing the dishes?
Drops in out of nowhere.
Exactly. It stops you in your tracks. And then your rational brain kicks in and asks, okay, wait, was that just my brain connecting dots, or was that something else?
That is the eternal question, isn't it? Is it intuition, subconscious processing, or is it actual guidance from, well, somewhere else?
Today, we are walking right into that question. We're doing a deep dive into reaching spirit and spirit
The
guides,
big topic.
a huge topic. But, and I really want to emphasize this right up front, this is not a ghost hunting show. We are not trying to convince you of anything supernatural. We're looking at a sauce text called Sovereign Connection, a guide to spiritual discernment. And the reason we picked this one is because it takes a really woo-woo topic
Yeah.
and treats it with a surprising amount of psychological rigor.
It really does. What struck me about Sovereign Connection is that it's almost scientific in its approach to safety.
Right.
It's not just a collection of spooky stories. It's more like a manual on how humans, historically and psychologically access wisdom.
And it doesn't matter what you call that wisdom.
Not at all. Whether you label it angels, ancestors, or just deep intuition, the mechanism for getting there safely is what this guide really cares about.
Yeah, because that line between spiritual awakening and, losing your grip on reality can be uncomfortably thin if you don't have a map.
And that's what this is. It's a map.
So that's our mission today, to hand you that map. And the core concept is right there in the title, Sovereign Connection.
Sovereign is the key word. It means authority, agency.
You're in charge.
You're in charge. The source argues that true spiritual connection isn't about surrendering to some unknown force. It's about maintaining your personal authority, your sovereignty, while you access that wisdom.
I love the analogy it uses. It's the difference between opening a door for fresh air and having the door blown off its hinges.
That's it, exactly. It frames the whole thing around boundaries, not belief.
Okay, so let's get our definition straight. When the source talks about spirit guides, what are we actually talking about? Because my brain immediately goes to, like, a glowing Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ah, right, the Hollywood version. And that's usually not very helpful. This guide uses more of a big tent approach.
Okay.
It defines a spirit guide simply as a supportive spiritual presence, something that offers guidance, protection, or wisdom. But, and this is the critical part, the text is very explicit, that how you define that presence is entirely up to you.
This was the part that made me realize this guide works for skeptics, too.
Hmm.
It presents a spectrum. On one end, you have people who see guides as external beings, literal spirits.
Right, the traditional view?
But on the other end, you have the psychological model people who see guides as personifications of their own subconscious, their intuition.
And the source says these two views can coexist. No conflict. This is so key. You don't have to pick a theological side to use the techniques.
So it doesn't matter if I think I'm talking to an archangel or just a deeper part of my own psyche.
The mechanism is identical. The brain state you need to achieve, that quiet, receptive state, is the same, no matter what you believe is on the other end of the line.
The list of who these guides might be is fascinating. It covers so much ground. You've got ancestors,
Yeah, loved ones who have passed, that's pretty universal.
then guardian spirits, angels. But it also gets into things like nature spirit.
Right, energies tied to the land or animals. But then it also looks inward. The guide lists the higher self,
Which is what, exactly?
your own deeper intuitive consciousness, the part of you that isn't worried about your taxes or your ego. And it also includes deities or even archetypes.
Archetypes. So like Jungian psychology. The warrior, the nurturer.
Exactly. If you need courage and you call on the idea of the warrior, your mind starts to organize wisdom through that lens. You start to see solutions a warrior would see.
So it's a support system, whether that system is built from DNA, psychology, or the universe.
The function is the same. To give you a perspective, you can't get in your normal, stressed out waking state.
Okay, so we know the who. Let's talk about the what, because pop culture has really done a number on our expectations here.
Oh, absolutely. The classic seance scene.
Eyes rolling back, speaking Latin, furniture shaking.
Yeah, none of that.
Huh.
The source is crystal clear. Reaching spirit is not losing control. It is not hearing loud, commanding voices.
And it's not a substitute for mental health care.
Definitely not. It's not about being possessed.
The text has a line, Healthy spiritual connection never removes free will. That feels like the prime directive here.
It is the fundamental rule. It comes back to agency. You are not handing the steering wheel of your life over to a guide.
You're just asking them to check the map.
Exactly. You are still driving the car. And if you ever feel like you can't stop the connection or you have to obey, the source says that's not a spiritual connection. That's a mental health crisis.
That distinction is so important. So why do people even do this, if not for the drama? If you're not getting lottery numbers?
Usually it's because they're in a transition, grieving, a career crossroads, or just feeling lost. The goal is grounding, clarity.
Not dependency.
Right. And that's the trap. If you find yourself unable to decide on lunch without checking with your guides, you've missed the point entirely. You've actually disempowered yourself.
Okay, so let's say someone listening is thinking, I'm in a transition, I want to try this. The source puts up a huge warning label first, a prerequisite course on grounding and safety.
Think of it as the check engine light of the whole practice. Before you even try to open up, you have to assess your emotional readiness.
It asks, are you stable enough to question the impressions you get? Can you hold boundaries?
Yeah, and it lists red flags. If you're in intense distress, dissociating, or having intrusive thoughts, the advice is blunt. Stop. Don't do this. Get professional support.
It's very responsible.
It is. But assuming you are feeling stable, you still need to ground yourself.
No.
And this isn't just a metaphor. The guide gives, like, physiological instructions.
It's somatic, right? Feet on the floor, slow, intentional breaths, visualize roots going into the earth. Why is the physical part so important for a spiritual practice?
Because it regulates your nervous system. You can't receive clear, subtle guidance if you're in fight or flight. If you're panicked, everything will sound like panic.
You can't hear a whisper in a hurricane.
That's a perfect way to put it. Grounding stops the hurricane.
I highlighted a quote here. Protection is not fear-based, it is self-respect. That just reframes everything.
It does, doesn't it? It's not about being scared of demons. It's like locking your front door.
You're not terrified, it's your house.
It's your house. You decide who comes in. You set an intention. I am only open to guidance for my highest good. That simple statement acts as a filter.
Okay, so you're grounded, you're safe, you set your intention, now what? What does it actually feel like? Because people are expecting the burning bush.
And that is almost never what happens. The source really emphasizes subtlety. Genuine guidance is usually a whisper.
Like a gut feeling.
A gut feeling, a symbol that keeps popping up, a thought that drops into your head that feels surprisingly calm and quiet.
Like my dishes example from the intro. Sudden clarity, no fanfare, just knowing.
Yes. But how do you know that knowing is real guidance and not just your own anxiety or ego? The source gives a very specific test for this.
Okay.
It's called the urgency test.
This was the biggest aha moment for me because my anxiety is always urgent. It screams, do this now or everything falls apart.
Exactly. And the source says that urgency is the hallmark of unsafe or false guidance. If a message feels urgent, fearful, controlling,
It's not wisdom.
it's probably just your amygdala firing off a fear response. Healthy guidance feels calm. It feels supportive. It has kind of an infinite patience to it.
But what if it's a real emergency? Like, get out of the street, a bus is coming.
Well, that's a physical survival reflex. That's different. We're talking about guidance on life decisions, relationships, emotional growth.
Got it.
If a guide is yelling at you to quit your job today or you're doomed, that's probably just your own stress talking. True wisdom can wait. It reassures, it doesn't command.
That is such a useful filter for life in general. If it's panicking, it's probably not wisdom.
Pretty much.
Okay, so let's talk about the specific tools, the toolkit section. It starts with meditation, obviously, but it frames it as quieting mental noise.
The goal isn't levitating, it's just volume control.
Huh, right.
We're just trying to turn down the volume on the internal chatter, the grocery lists, the worries, so you can hear something else. The key is, don't force a message. Just listen.
It's the posture of listening. The second tool is journaling, and this isn't Dear Diary.
No, this is more like stream of consciousness. The source suggests specific prompts to bypass your analytical mind. You write down a question like, what do I need to understand about this situation?
And then you just go.
You just go. Don't think, don't edit, don't worry about grammar. Just let the pen move. The analysis comes later.
Hindsight, you look back at it a week later and see what stands out.
Exactly. You separate the receiving from the analyzing.
The third tool is prayer or spoken intention. This brings us back to boundaries, but it makes a key distinction between asking for clarity and asking for prediction.
That's a big one. Most people want predictions. Will I get the job?
They call me back. Yeah.
That puts you in a passive position, just waiting for life to happen to you. The source says you should ask for clarity. What do I need to know to approach this interview with confidence? That empowers you.
And finally, divination. Tarot cards, pendulums. This is where I think some people check out.
I get that. But the guide defines these tools as symbolic mirrors. They aren't telling the future. They're reflecting your own subconscious back at you.
Like a Rorschach test.
A perfect comparison. The card has a picture. Your reaction to that picture tells you what's going on inside you.
So if I pull the death card and feel relieved, that tells me I'm ready for an ending.
Right. But if you feel terrified, that tells you you're still holding on. The card didn't decide for you. It just revealed how you feel.
But the warning is strong. They should never replace your own decision-making.
Never. If you're pulling a card for every minor choice, that's a dependency. It's a sign to put the deck away for a bit.
Which brings us to what the source calls the single most important skill of this entire deep dive: discernment.
Discernment is the filter.
Yeah.
Because, let's be real, not every thought you have is a message from the divine.
Some thoughts are just thoughts.
Maybe you're hungry. Maybe you're tired. You need a way to test the message.
And the source gives us a literal checklist, a litmus test. We've talked about, does it feel calm?
And the urgency test. But there are others. Does it respect my autonomy? And does it align with compassion?
That compassion one is big. If a voice is telling you to be cruel to yourself or someone else, it is not high-level wisdom, period.
Not at all. But my favorite rule in this whole section, the most counterintuitive one, is the doubt rule.
True guidance allows doubt. That stopped me in my tracks, because you're usually taught to just have faith.
Exactly. But think about it. If a person tells you, don't question me, just trust me, your alarm bells go off.
Right. Immediately. That's manipulation.
The source says the same applies here. If you aren't allowed to question the guidance, if it demands blind obedience, it is not healthy. True wisdom is confident enough to be questioned.
Wow. So you have the right to cross-examine your own intuition.
Absolutely. You remain the judge, you remain sovereign, you can say, I'm not sure about this, I'm going to wait. A true guide respects that.
This leads right into the final section on boundaries and mental health. We've said sovereignty a lot. What does that look like in practice?
It looks like being the boss. You set the hours. You can say, okay, I'm journaling for 20 minutes, and then I am closing this connection and going to make dinner.
You don't have to be on 24/7. You can hang up the phone.
You should hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual hygiene is real. And we just have to say it again, the medical disclaimer here is strict. This never replaces therapy or medication.
Right. If this stuff is making you anxious or confused, the answer isn't to meditate more.
The answer is to stop. Ground yourself. Get professional help. Spirituality should support your stability, not take it away.
Which connects to the final piece, integration. The whole so what of this practice.
It's not just about having cool mystical experiences.
No.
If the guidance doesn't lead to practical action, making healthier choices, setting better boundaries, being kinder, then what's the point? It shouldn't be an escape from reality. It should be a tool to engage with reality more fully.
So if your guides are telling you to quit your job and move to a cave, maybe run that through the discernment checklist a few times.
Please do. Check the compassion filter. Check the urgency filter. And check the reality filter.
So to bring this all together, it seems the big takeaway is that you can be open to the mystical without checking your common sense at the door.
That is the core message. Whether you believe in spirits or just the power of your own psychology, the method is the same.
Quiet the noise.
Ground yourself.
Trust your gut.
But verify it with your brain.
Trust but verify. I like that. It's a very practical approach to something so out there.
It keeps you safe. It turns it into a partnership between your conscious mind and, well, whatever lies beyond it.
I want to leave everyone with a thought from the very end of the source. It really stuck with me. The text says, you don't actually need to reach beyond yourself to be guided. Wisdom speaks in the quiet space where attention meets trust. You remain sovereign.
It's a beautiful reminder, isn't it? You weren't looking for answers out there. You're just creating the quiet space to hear the answers that are already waiting inside.
And on that note, we're going to let you get back to your day, hopefully with a little more trust in that quiet space. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.